Hi guys, my name's Subnautica, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back to Subnautica. Now today, I was thinking, well first off, it's kind of cool to see that all of our beacons are back. Whether or not they'd stay if we went through another teleporter, who knows. But we've got the Lost River teleporter down there, we've got the Mushroom teleporter over there, the Bulb Zone teleporter over there, and it does seem that this was either the kind of deep sparse reef or the crag fields that teleporter over there was in. So we you know, fairly well situated, and we've got all of our bits and pieces up from last time, which is cool. But before we go searching for the Sea Crown, and before I start doing anything else that's a little more out there, considering there's also been a lot of noise around Subnautica and its ending the last few days, in regards to leaks and things like that around the rocket, and people coming up with large theories about there being a second gun platform on the planet and stuff like that. You know, it's so I kind of want to go through the lore. Yeah, I did these videos before, and I kind of did it all at once, and as a result it didn't really pan out because I also had some tech issues at the time. But everything's been pretty well behaved so far, touch wood, and so as a result I kind of want to do the lore again, considering that that's what people are arguing about now, especially as it pertains to the ending. And in regards to the second gun theory, I don't think it holds water as much as some people do, because you've got people going, oh, but the planet's really big. Well, it really isn't. It has a really short day. The moons travel around it very, very quickly. This isn't a particularly big planet. Secondly, the entire planet, for the most part, as far as we're aware, seems to be underwater. You know, the sunbeam found our crash site and found us seemingly quite easy, and said that it was quite a substantial one, purely because we were, like, it was so apparent. Which again, if we're on the top of a volcano and the kind of rest of the planet is down at the very, like, shallowest at around the 3,000 meter depth, then something tells me that we're probably, you know, there wouldn't have been many places to build a gun platform on this planet, let alone anything else. So between needing a power source, between needing places to build, and so on and so forth, one gun platform, considering that also they're protecting people coming and landing, and people probably aren't going to be coming and landing just plainly in the water. They're going to be looking for places to land on land. They're going to be looking for places to accumulate. Realize that the first places that our crew, even, as we'll get into in a minute when we actually look at the logs of like the PDA logs of both the Legacy survivors and the Aurora survivors until they got by warpers or whatever. You know, they looked for land first because that's what we're used to. That's what everyone's used to. You know, that's why even though there are areas of precursor bases that are filled with water, most of the precursor bases are behind the kind of transition fields that allow you to step out of water into the dry. You know, the main base down with Flimsy there is all dry inside. The precursors themselves had a very similar mindset to ourselves, seemingly, and so, you know, I don't think there is a second gun, because also even if they're trying to protect an entire planet, as said, you're looking to protect a landing zone more than the planet. And also, if they've got this level of technology and whatever else, then chances are there may very well be other emplacements, but they're probably not on the planet here. They're probably on the moons. You know, there are 2 moons that move, that orbit this planet very, very quickly. We have a very, very short day-night cycle on 4546b, and so as a result, that's probably where other emplacements and other bases and things are. Other people saying, oh well, you've only turned off one gun, even if there is another gun. so that other gun could still shoot you down. Maybe. But again, what my thinking is that it's probably more likely that the because the second time the sunbeam comes in and says that they can't get in, like in some other audio that's been put into the game now, if you disable the gun first and then the sunbeam turns up, they say that they can't get to you still. And so as a result, it's if there was another gun, surely we'd just have the sunbeam coming in and still getting shot down. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that there isn't another facility, at least on this planet. But as we saw from the artifacts chamber down in the precursor base around the Sea Emperor, there's a lot of artifacts in there that include artifacts from Earth. There's a lot potentially that these precursors had, and we've just not had the opportunity to find them. The other thing that stands out to me is that just because this is the first place that the human race has encountered the Kharaa, there are apparently an awful lot of things that were destroyed by the Kharaa, and I'd imagine that just because this was a primary disease research facility, we've got the cure now. We can harvest the cure now for when we leave the planet. We can send people back here to peacefully harvest the cure if it's encountered again. But the precursors didn't seem to quite have a good grasp on that. So, but anyway, the stuff that I want to get into in regards to the lore, I want to do it in kind of two parts. I want to do it with the lore and story around the Aurora, the crew, the Degassi, and kind of Altera and the megacorps that seem to be running the show on the outside as well. I wanna get into taking a look at them first, and then afterwards, that's when I want to go and take a look more at the biology and some of the bits about from the various alien research facilities, so we can kind of work through that and comment on that. Because then, if something more comes out over the next kind of couple of weeks, considering we are, steadily approaching the end of the year, when in theory Subnautica should be coming out in full release sometime towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. From everything that I've understood from their Trello and so on and so forth. So hopefully, if we go through all of this now and then go and do the stuff about jumping into the void and hunting down the last few things that we need lore wise, like the various Leviathan scans, then that's stuff that we can go and take a look at afterwards. Because what I'm thinking is, the best thing for us to do would be to go and solve the Kharaa problem by unleashing our little baby Sea Emperor Leviathans. Then hopefully have the ending of the game come in where we get the information from the Aurora about building the rocket and so on and so forth. So we go and do that, and then after we've done that, and after we've prepared whatever we need for that stuff, that's when we then go, right, we've got nothing left to lose. We can take as much time as we want to build and mess around with whatever before we touch in on the ending. And so that's where, let's face it, the person that comes back from surviving this kind of encounter, not only finding the first concrete evidence of real expansive alien intelligence, but also advanced technologies in form of ion batteries and ion crystals, the other equipment that is around the place, the precursor drones, the Kharaa virus in and of itself, or bacteria in and of itself, the cure for said bacteria, as well as this entire kind of planet, just the ecosystem here, the creatures here, things like the mesmer that could be very, yeah, it is the mesmer, isn't it? That could be very easily weaponized in some way or another. But right, so hold on, that's blueprints, data downloads. This is the one that we want to go for. So we're going to take a look at all of this stuff first. This bit down here. So public documents and other bits and pieces. Indigenous life forms. Oh, have they? Hold on. Have they? Oh, that's a different section. That's fine. But originally there was a lot more here. That was highlighted, but as said, I tried to do this video before and it kind of didn't go so well. So let's get into it though. With let's see. Let's start, shall we? Actually, with the public documents. So we've got information about why we launched. So we launched on the Aurora, seemingly as an engineer, because we seem to have a good technical knowledge of how things work and how how things were doing. Because also this kind of slims down who we could be. So let's get into it. Anyway, Altera launches the Aurora. Phase gate announced for the Ariadne arm. Altera launches the Aurora. The furthest reaches of inhabited space are due to expand as Altera Corp launches a newly constructed capital ship carrying a phase gate bound for the Ariadne arm. The Aurora will travel from space dock on the edge of Altera space, making hundreds of consecutive phase gate jumps through 9 different trans-gov authorities, and arrive on the far side of the Ariadne arm in 3 months' time. From there, the command crew will pilot the ship beyond the final phase gate, arriving in the next solar system approximately 18 months later. There, the elite team of engineers will begin a 6-month construction project on the new phase gate, a multi-trillion credit investment. In the absence of existing infrastructure in the region, the vessel is equipped with advanced thermal and nuclear power facilities. Altera Corp currently operates 9% of all phase gates in the galaxy. If the Aurora's mission is successful, Altera will have outmaneuvered a cabal of Mongolian corporations operating a range of outposts and mines in the region, which includes the individuals for Torgal Corp. I think it's Torgal Corp. Here we go. Who are the people who crashed in the Degassi. So corporate profile, Torgal Corp. Torgal Corporation is a long-standing family-run clan that operates almost a dozen mining and trading operations. The company's share price hit an all-time high on the announcement by a Mongolian cabal of their intentions to construct a new phase gate utilizing Torgal materials. These plans were put on hold when Bart Torgal, the intended leader of the new mining operation, disappeared alongside his father, crashing on 4546B. So, Altera Corp Board of Directors. Join Altera's Board of Directors. It's not about money. That's what every director on Altera's board has told me, and I believe them. Profitability is just an interim measure of success. Power and status are the real goals. Make enough profit for Altera and you'll be recognized by the most powerful business people in the universe. Establish a company that obliterates the competition, and after compulsory buyout, you can be promoted to the board of directors, which again is what I think we should have after we've done everything that we're doing. Perks include travel, free use of all company phase gates, entourage, personal assistance for every facet of your life, longevity, automatic organ replacement. Altera, get what you deserve. So that doesn't sound unattractive. Relationship, contract, legal recording. Now, in all of this, it seems like we'll get into what the trans-gov kind of things are later, in a couple of files time. But the overall, it's highly dystopian, highly transactional outside of our little bubble here where we've crashed. So everything seems to be for sale, based around contracts, based around transactions, and as a result, that leads to some very slanted kind of worldviews to one extent or another, as you'd expect. Our character here probably believes a lot of these things as well, just purely based on the things that he's experienced in his life, and especially considering he's actually working for Altera Corp. But relationship, contract, legal recording. Wilson, listen, I know you don't have the right to make demand. I don't have the right to make demands of you, but I need you to understand that I want to change our arrangement. Fournier, I hear what you're saying, and I will try to respect it. How would you like to change it? I would like to reduce our contact hours. How much further can we do that? To 0. You're dumping me? I'm changing the terms of our relationship. How is it still a relationship if we don't see each other? It's a relationship of a kind. You have so many expectations. I feel you just want to spend more time with the dumb guy in his dumb robot suit. That's not a feeling, it's a judgment. And I feel hostility in what you're saying. Perhaps your jealousy is a sign that you need to take another look at your business model. Why can't you just be happy for me? I am happy for you, and I'm happy for all the guys in the prawn bay. I'm just not happy for me. This is why I want to change our arrangement. Now, there's an element of healthy kind of appreciation of kind of boundaries there to one extent or another, and in kind of the very HR acceptable language that it's put forward. It's very kind of interesting the way that it's done, but it also it's sad. It takes away from what relationships are, I feel, if you purely boil, like, there is a large kind of transactional and contractual element to relationships, but I feel like that kind of it's kind of sad, the world that our little character here is living in. Responsible Autonomous Relationships, foreword by Jenny Eklund. All the good things in life are commodities. We trade love just as we buy and sell stock. We engage in human relationships when there is a fair exchange of value, support, motivation, affection. Nothing good is ever free. Now that I can kind of agree with, because there should be a fair exchange. It should be a balanced relationship between the people in it. If every physical good in the Federation came from a single supplier, it would constitute a dangerous monopoly. Personal relationships are the same. It is important for people to get what they need from multiple sources. If a person finds a better source of the goods they require, they are not wronging their original supplier by changing their purchasing arrangements. If one member of a relationship should feel threatened or jealous, they must look at their own business model and ask whether it is performing competitively. There is always room for improvement. That last element, there's always room for improvement, absolutely fine. The stuff in the middle there, though, it's like likening a person who, when we're designed to relate to people on much more emotional levels than we are purely fact-based quantitative levels, which is why you've got a lot of political hoo-ha around just like grassroots movements and people getting offended and all that kind of thing. It doesn't really pan out as well, and that I can see there being an awful lot of dysfunctional, borderline, if not like over the borderline, sociopathic people as a result of this kind of mindset where everything is just a commodity. That's how certain ancient civilizations saw it as well, and at times it saw a lead to a kind of breakdown in certain areas of their society. So it's interesting. But anyway, moving into the grander scheme, the big picture here, we've got the Charter, which is seemingly a kind of political legal document on kind of what a trans-gov is and how it operates. So the Charter, definitions: trans-gov, an independent authority in de facto control of at least one solar system and phase gate. Citizen, a person who consents consciously or implicitly to the authority of a recognized trans-gov. Now that's a little concerning, because it's an implicit consent, i.e. keeping quiet and just not doing anything about it. That's a little worrying that some of them would operate like that. The Charter, the full legal contract agreed upon by 37 separate trans-govs and summarised herein. The Trans System Federation, or TSF, military police charged with enforcing the terms of the Charter, independent of but funded by the trans-govs. Trans System Phase Gate, any permanent installation which enables warping of spacefaring vessels between solar systems, which I imagine are like the jump gates that you've seen in everything from the ones that spring into my mind are from the game Freelancer, one of my favourite games of ever, that I wish would get something of an update. But it's like that kind of thing where it's more of a portal to portal transfer instead of just straight FTL travel. Trans-gov principles. 1. Each trans-gov is to have an equal right to the most extensive basic liberty compatible with a similar liberty for others. A. Each has the right to own phase gates and planetary infrastructure. B. Each has an obligation to share phase gate access with other trans-govs on fair terms at no cost to themselves. C. Each has the obligation to financially maintain and comply with the TSF. See, now that does, so the trans-govs' rights in and of themselves, they are allowed, they have the right to own phase gates and planetary infrastructure. They have an obligation to share phase gates as long as it doesn't cost them anything, and they have to listen to the rule of law. This doesn't give, that gives them a lot of freedom in regards to what else they can do with the people around them. But number 2, each transgov has a right to self-government, subject to the restrictions laid out below. No transgov may develop weapons and technologies outlawed in Appendix 91, which I assume would be things like biological weapons and stuff. And no transgov shall engage in population abuse, which I assume would either be kind of eugenics-based breeding programs to bump up a population, or genocide, essentially. Today's menu. So this was the menu from the thing. Okay, so we've got... Is that volute or volute? I can never remember which way that's pronounced. But space bet, so tardigrades are grown and then turned into protein-rich soup. That would be a lot of tardigrades, but then again, they can survive in a vacuum. They're very resilient, so who knows? Cottage pie with, which is what, mashed Chinese potato with rehydrated minced beef, or a nutrient block, which we have kicking around, and then dried fruits and nuts for dessert, because there doesn't seem to be much else. Yeah, so there was an accident that kind of messed everything up, and we'll see how that accident was caused in one of the other logs that we get to in a minute. The trans-gov profile. Trans-gov profile, Altera Corp, one of the largest suppliers of spacefaring technologies and consumer electronics in the Federation, the official supplier of the TSF, consistently ranked amongst the galaxy's best employers, which is good for us because that's who we work for. Began life as a defense manufacturer in the mid-22nd century. National motto, get what you deserve. Although most transgovs can trace their roots back to Earth, Altera, literally meaning by Earth, is the only one brazen enough to take its name. During the expansion, Altera supplied arms to all sides, acquiring and housing a vast colonist workforce and making the transition from manufacturer to corporate state. Altera's threat to cease trade was one of the turning points in the conflict, bringing about an end of hostilities and the signing of the Charter. Today, Altera has a ban on all weapons within its borders, although loopholes exist for law enforcement officers and manufacturers or exporters. The corporation has learnt that violence is most profitable when conducted between customers rather than employees. Free enterprise within Altera space is encouraged, but competition is tight, and all goods exported off-world must be Altera branded. Profitable businesses are bought out by the state, owners ascending to the Altera board of directors. Well-known Altera technologies, such as the Cyclops submersible, originated with such private enterprises. Despite superficial similarities to national governments, the corporation's lawyers have always maintained that it has no legal obligation to its employees, but voluntarily elects to take on the role, usually served by a democratically elected government. This claim has not yet been tested in Federation courts. Excuse me. Right, so this is the profile for the Mongolian independent states, who are the people that the Torgal Corporation are a part of. Trans-gov profile Mongolian independent states. When the hostilities of the expansion ceased, the tactical value of hard-to-reach colony systems on the edge of China territories plummeted. Recouping from the war, the central government left them to starve. The systems in question declared independence, claiming their infrastructure as their own and their intent to become self-sufficient. Today, the Mongolian states is seen as a relatively minor power on the outskirts of colonized space, yet it remains one of the fastest expanding trans-govs in the galaxy. There is little centralized control. In times of war, a defense force can be raised between the chief officers of the major planetary clan corps. Mongolian societies inherited their technology from the Chinese, but incorporated the customs of their multicultural colonist base. Non-synthetic foods remain popular. Religion is a strong component of society, but the Mongolians take a relaxed view of competing faiths, believing gods to be universally and equally flawed. Mongolians will often be heard proclaiming, "I believe in gods, so long as they don't try to command me." If pushed to explain how they can believe in a god with no authority, they will explain simply that all people are gods and their authority is equally zero. What we can learn from the hive mind of Strata 6. Now, this seems to suggest that there has been some contact with other like intelligent life, but it's been very kind of standoffish because it's been outside of their realm of communication. Like, we've been able to communicate directly with the equipment that the precursors have left behind, but also we've been able to communicate directly with the Sea Emperor, seemingly the dominant intelligent species on the planet here. But as a result, let's find out what we can learn. How are the individuals which make up a hive mind to be categorized? They are merely dumb components of the larger intelligent organism. Or are they, merely dumb components of the larger intelligent organism? Or is the larger mind merely a product of the independent organisms? Can it be both? We defined organisms by their traits, but find invariably that these traits depend on those of their environment. The concept of a tadpole is meaningless without the concept of a frog it will develop into. The idea of a predator is empty without an understanding of its prey. This begs the question: if we define everything by reference to everything else, have we actually explained? I think there's an extra word in there. An illustrative experiment was recently performed on the hive mind colony discovered on Strata 6. A device was placed outside the nest which would electrocute individuals approaching it. An ant colony would have lost many individuals before a basic danger signal was successfully communicated between them, resulting in learnt avoidance of the device successfully by cost. The Strata 6 colony quickly formed into two factions. One attempted to move the device by brute force, sacrificing individuals as they did so. The second attempted to cover the device in sand. These two goals being mutually exclusive, a fight ensued. The first faction was beaten in virtue of their reduced numbers. The device was safely buried and the survivors called a truce. From the perspective of the individuals, this experience must have been horrific. From the perspective of the hive mind, a nagging problem had been overcome with the most effective solution. Which perspective is the correct one? I suggest that it is neither. By attempting to fit such entities into our rigid set of concepts, we are painting onto the world a false impression of concreteness and meaning, which is a reflection of our concepts of ourselves. We describe Strata 6 individuals as attacking one another, just as we describe microbes in the human body as doing the same. Yet the Strata colony, like the body, cannot be healthy as a whole without the aggressions of its components. We describe neurons in the brain as being dumb, but brains as a whole as intelligent. But when an idea takes hold in the brain and forces out inferior ones, do we describe this as an act of aggression? Do we mourn the dead neurons? When a philosophy or a technology takes hold in human society, when wars are fought over them and people die, is that rightly seen as being good or evil? This is not to undermine the meaning of our existence. From where we stand, our existence is very serious indeed, but it is our civilization and our universe. But is our civilization and our universe really any different from the colony on Strata 6? Is intelligence something limited to things of flesh and blood? Or is the universe truly one giant intelligent system, and we but amoeba blowing self-important potholes in its surface? We would do well as scientists to remember that our goal is not to paint the world as we see it, but to see it as it truly is. Which again, I guess, is where the precursors made a bit of a mess, because they couldn't communicate with the Sea Emperor because they were too wrapped up in their own heads. They couldn't kind of make sense of what was being said to them by it. You know, they couldn't hear what was being said and done. So, you know, I feel like maybe they would have learned something from reading this excerpt. So, how long have we been going so far? Because, okay, we've been going half an hour. We'll go a little longer because I don't mind cutting this up into different sections now, because I don't want to overrun it in terms of the video. But let's take a look at the operations log. So the Aurora black box data, which I can't remember where exactly. I assume from the Aurora. But let's take a look at this, because I think does this have? No, I don't think this has all of the information on it about us. Probably not, but we'll get into the rest in a second. Initiated slingshot maneuver around 4546B. So basically we came in and we hit the upper atmosphere almost to kind of sit in the gravity well to kind of slingshot ourselves out the other end, kind of coming into it on a really, really tight corner and having it kind of throw us out the other side of it. High velocity energy pulse launch detected on planet surface. Emergency distress signal sent to Altera listening buoy via long-range comm array. Impact detected. Life pod bays on starboard side compromised. Outgoing communications compromised. Emergency evacuation initiated. Manual piloting transferred to Captain Hollister. Life pods 0 to 25 launched successfully. Entering planetary atmosphere. Massive impact registered. Drive core shield compromised. Post-analysis. The energy pulse matched no known planetary defense technologies. Pulse's site of origin has been calculated and downloaded. Distress signal broadcast successfully. Damage to relay prevents further outgoing communications, which is why we can't communicate out to the sunbeam and stuff like that, seemingly, because we would need to bounce our communication from our radio relay off the Aurora's comms system, and that's why we can't communicate, which is a nice way of just rounding up and tidying that up. Altera HQ rescue solution received at T plus 8 hours to high priority terminal in captain's quarters, which we still haven't been able to get into yet. So there's that. But right, so the Aurora engineering drone Albert log, and this is where we find out about the mishap that happened in one of the bays. Exiting sleep mode, loading voice recognition, engineer Berkeley and chief technology officer U identified. Berkeley, drone get me a propulsion cannon. Repulsion cannon retrieved. CTOU, hey Berkeley, install that circuit box with that repulsion cannon and you'll punch a hole in the cargo bay. Which is seemingly what happened in regards to the desserts. Berkeley, damn it drone, I said propulsion cannon, not repulsion cannon. Recalibrate sensors. Sensors aren't the problem. I tweaked the program. It's like you now. It doesn't like being told what to do. Sensors recalibrated. Berkeley. He sighs. Drone, I know his name is Albert now. Albert. I know it's not your fault, but it would really help me to do my job if you'd bring me what I asked for. Thanks for your time. Repulsion cannon retrieved. Thank you, now go away. Entering hibernation mode. Berkeley. Boss, this hobby of yours ain't making my job any easier or safer. Maybe so, but it's all that's stopping me taking a spacewalk in Muscovies. And you never know, Altera might even buy the designs off me when we get home. So basically, someone forgot to call the robot by name, it handed them the wrong cannon, and then it blew a hole in the ship's hull and took all of the desserts with it. Which kind of sucks. Aurora scanner room voice log. Officer Keen. The way I see it, no one's to blame here. Crew member J. She gave me the wrong coordinates. Crew member P. He didn't give me clear instruction. Officer Keen. Okay, I'll rephrase. You've been equally incompetent. Now we've lost time, but we're closer to the planet, so if the Degassi's out there, the scan should pick it up. Crew member P. Why are we even helping the Mongolians? They're the competition. Officer Keen. Enjoy your shore leave on Sanjay Station. Like having fuel in the tanks, thank the Mongolians. We run the scans. We show them we didn't find anything, and we say thanks for the free dinner. Clear. So there's something odd on the surface scan here. Turn off that recorder. So, you know, they were helping out, looking for the Degassi. They had, what's his name? Joki Kassar, I think, on board as an emissary from the Mongolians because they were looking for the Degassi. And what they were looking for was just, you know, we'll do the scans, we'll, you know, have a look, but then after that we'll just crack on and we won't worry about it. You know, we'll enjoy the free bits and pieces that they've provided us. Here we go. Here are the bits and pieces that I was looking for. So start here. This tells us about what we've got. So if you are reading this, then you have survived an emergency evacuation of a capital class ship equipped with Altera technology. Congratulations, the hard part is over. Your PDA has automatically rebooted in emergency mode. The operating system has one directive: to keep you alive on a hostile alien world. If that is not possible, it will alert salvage teams to the location of your remains. It features full monitoring of vital signs for timely survival advice, blueprints for fabricating a range of essential survival equipment tailored to your environment, onboard camera, microphone, and OCR technology for short-range situational analysis, cross-compatibility with all Altera-compliant products. Nota bene. Your personal and work files have been encrypted and may be retrieved at a later date by a licensed engineer. So basically, who we are, what we did, all that kind of stuff is sealed away on our PDA here. And so as a result, we'll probably never find out who our character is unless there's like another game that they do further down the line, which I hope for, because I want to know more about Subnautica's kind of universe here. But yeah, we've got no real clue as to our identity just here. But we've got the survival checklist, which is, you know, administer first aid, check inventory, survive, and then, you know, its blueprint database got corrupted, which is why we now have to go around and take a look for other stuff. You know, going and finding blueprints and things that have crashed and by scanning things. But here's the life pod that we crashed in, what it's capable of. So, 2-berth emergency life pod. Standard features: short-range radio, 25-kilometer uninterrupted range. Wall-mounted fabricator for survival equipment manufacture and for rendering organic substances edible. Medical kit fabricator. Onboard air brake and flotation devices for land, sea, or space recovery. Solar power cells and emergency exits in the floor and roof. Standard provisions: 2 all-environment protection suits, 2 ready-to-eat nutrient blocks, 2 drinking water provisions, 1 emergency med kit, and 2 emergency flares. And then we'll take a look at some of the logs maybe in the next video, where we find out that they also, like, some of them also had radiation suits on board and stuff like that. So they have extra bits and pieces. But this was our default suit. So this isn't the suit that we're wearing anymore, because we're wearing the reinforced dive suit. But this is the suit that we started out in, which, you know, has its own bits and pieces anyway, and so our suit at the moment seems to be just a more armoured version of this. So the Altera AEP suit, a single solution for a universe of infinite danger. You are currently wearing the AEP suit, a hermetically sealed personal environment suit designed to withstand the most extreme conditions in the known universe. Onboard temperature and hydration regulation, compatible with a range of attachments, slimline build for maximum freedom of movement, biometric sensors, and contextual heads-up display. AEP suits should always be equipped before life pod launch in case of a hull breach. Now, the unfortunate thing is that even if it's hermetically sealed, the head is still exposed, as are the hands, which is seemingly how we got infected. Because we've not eaten any infected food, but we're still infected. But right, here's the interesting part. So, ship class, Altera long range capital ship. Mission, the phase gate, 3-year operation time. And then we've got the crew right up here, where we've got a command team of 23 people, engineering team of 85 people, support crew of 40 people, and then 9 passengers. Now, I don't think we're the 9 passengers because we're outfitted with a lot of stuff. Yeah, we are kind of on board with all of this Altera tech. We've been able to make it all work, and not purely because of the equipment that we've got available to us, but also just seemingly because of our understanding. For instance, we went and we go and deal with the leaking in the radiation leaks in the drive core in the Aurora, and I'm not sure just a normal passenger would necessarily, even if they had a welder, they wouldn't know how well to do it, or what to do so much. But I don't think we're command team either, for the simple reason that we don't have any of the codes to anything. You'd think that maybe we would have more access to codes and so on and so forth, especially considering that the command crew kind of automatically moved succession from the captain to the first officer as we crashed, which we'll see again when we get into some of the other bits and pieces. So that leaves us either as one of the engineers that was here on the project, or one of the support crew. Now, I feel like the support crew would obviously be things like medical, or a cook, things like that. But I don't think we're a member of the support crew, because we seem to have some kind of technical knowledge as far as jumping into water around a drive core and fixing it is concerned, even if it's just welding it. Think about welding in real life. If you just try to bodge some radiation shielding, I don't think you would manage it. There's a bit more kind of precision and expertise required to make sure that that's effective, and that's what we were able to do. So I feel like we're one of the 85 engineers that was kicking around. Status: sustained heavy damage in orbit of planet 4546b, cause unknown, evacuation data unavailable. We've got that from the black box, so that's fine. Engineering section: the dark matter drive core version 8, which is what we went and fixed. Manned robotics suite, advanced scanner suite, which the advanced scanner suite probably would have been helpful if we could have gotten to it, but I don't think that's somewhere that we actually get into, because we get to the robotics lab, but I don't think we get there. Long range communications array, which is only working one way now, and a 0.25 cubic kilometers storage for phase gate apparatus. Now, I would think that a lot of that phase gate gear is still on the ship. Maybe not all of it, but a fair amount of it. And so as a result, it'd be nice if we could maybe gain access to some of that stuff, or maybe we need to as part of creating our rocket eventually. But we'll see about that as things go on. But in the habitation section, accommodation for 150 people, which we have somewhere in the region of that number of people. Multiple canteens serving healthy, fresh and rehydrated food, apart from no dessert because it got blown out the side of the ship. Leisure facilities including a VR suite and virtual cinema, which we will never see, as that was probably right up the front and got blown out the ship straight up. So yeah, from what we've got so far, we've got information around the universe that we're wandering around in. But also, we've now got a greater understanding of kind of what the ship was and how it was operating, what the people were doing there, how they were getting kind of frustrated with stuff. And, we've been going 3/4 of an hour now, so I think I'll cut it here. And so next time, we'll take a look at the various survivor logs. So, because we've got the codes here, but, lab access, note to self, suite offer, there's And the sweet offer is kind of interesting because this is the guy from the robot bay, the prawn bay, who was where is it? No, that one. Who yeah, so Wilson is the same guy. So he was being offered some time in a prawn suit to mess around with. So you know, it's nice to see a little glimpse of maybe what we were doing on the ship. Like, maybe, for all we know, we're Wilson, which would be really interesting. Which would also, you know, but then again, we also found some of these logs from elsewhere. So, you know, it'd be interesting to see either way. Like, I don't think we are, but hey-ho. But next time we'll go through the Aurora survivors and the Degassi survivors, and as well as the kind of search and rescue mission from Altera there. But for the moment, guys, I hope you found this interesting. I hope you enjoyed some of the chat around the theories, and we're only going to get more into that the more we look into this stuff. Because, you know, we've got this advanced theories thing around the bits and pieces that we've scanned, and then our PDA has done some of the working out for us. So, you know, we'll get into that soon, probably in the next episode, because I just want to go through these lore videos now, so that as the end approaches, and as we've got these last like 2 or 3 things that we need to do that aren't just messing around, we'll go and get those done. But, you know, we need to be on the same page, because there's going to be theories coming out, there's going to be ideas coming forward, and you know, I want to make some guesses on things before we actually take off from the planet, because I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. You know, will we get off the planet? Will we not get off the planet? Will we maybe be able to call people here after we've got so far off? Will we meet another ship whilst we're up there? You know, will the other ship we meet be a precursor one that realizes what we've done and just appears from nowhere, or will it be an Altera ship and then we get recognized as a member of the board of directors in the aftermath? You know, I'm interested to see what happens, but as a result, we need the lore first so we can have a chat about it. So yeah, we'll get onto the survivors logs next time, and then we'll get onto the alien data and the life form scans and things like that in the one after that. And then you know, we know that there are some scans missing, most notably the Leviathans, and we'll get to those maybe towards the end, where we can spend more time like hunting them down and we don't have so much to worry about. But either way, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.